Hello, listeners. Welcome to the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon podcast. So, if you've been listening, we are now over 70 episodes and we're talking to business leaders across Asia. And I'm excited to have my guest here today. And how we got on this was because I was speaking at an event by NAFNENG. So, I was invited to speak at their Tomorrow Today event. And I saw someone that was familiar and he sort of said hi to me. He was very friendly and was like, yeah, actually, he was in my list of people to interview way back when I started the podcast. So we have Ganesh Kumar Bangah here with us. And some people call him the Bill Gates of Asia. So that's how renowned he is. And he himself says he is like sort of the godfather of fintech here in Asia. And of course, many things that he has done. But I'll start from the beginning. So he was the founder of MOL Global, Southeast Asia's pioneer successful internet companies. I remember I used to go to cyber cafes and play games, and I used to see MOL everywhere. I used to see in the screensaver, and when I want to buy something from the game, I used to use MOL as well. And recently, what he did was he also founded the Commerce.Asia, right? So Commerce.Asia is a company that right now is serving a database of over 8 million SMEs across 7 countries in Asia, and it is one e-commerce ecosystem. And also recently he acquired, of course, we mentioned NAFNENG just now, acquired NetCentric, which has just been rebranded this year into Xamble Group. And I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of his all of his leaders at the event, part of the Xamble Group. And it is, of course, listed on the Australian Securities Exchange. So a lot of things that he has a span across of his career that we can talk about. And I'm very excited to ask him a few questions today. Ganesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to have, thank you for having me here. It's good to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Talking to business leaders in Asia, of course, I cannot miss you, especially you are locally here from Malaysia. And my first question to you, normally I ask about Kung Fu movies, but today I so happen to know that you are from JB, from Johor. So
Sure.
maybe tell us something that is less known about JB itself. Maybe where do you live? I actually used to live in JB also.
Oh, which part of JB do you used to live in?
I studied in UTM. So I was
So did I. So did I. What did you
studied in
study?
UTM.
Yeah, which faculty were you in?
I'm in marketing today, so I was I'm in the human resource management faculty.
Okay.
Many years, and I used to, of course, to stay in Taman U and Skudai, of course, in
Sure.
UTM. So which part of JB were you at?
Yeah, so I'm actually from Mohammad Amin, which is very close to English College.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very, very close to English College. If you know English College.
is it downtown or is it?
Yeah, it's in downtown. It's downtown. Yeah, it's near to the Tissel Hotel and close by to the hospital. Yeah, that area basically.
Sultan
Yeah,
Aminah
so I
Hospital.
studied in English College, and then after English College was my secondary school, and then I studied 3 years in UTM before dropping out to start my previous company, MOL.
I cannot find, while doing research, I
Yeah.
didn't see any mention of UTM. Good to hear.
Yeah,
I think you're the
yeah.
first.
I don't like publicizing the fact that I'm a college dropout lah.
Oh no! In today's
University dropout, I mean, yeah.
world, in today's world, it is more valuable to be a college dropout.
I just don't like publicizing it because I don't want to encourage youngsters to drop out of uni lah, right?
Yeah. Wow, good to hear. Fellow person who studied in UTM. So for the audience, UTM is University Technology Malaysia. It's based in Skudai. You were in. I remember you were in computer engineering.
No, I studied electrical engineering. So I studied electrical engineering, specializing in telecommunication.
Oh, I know exactly where the faculty is. Exactly where you would have lived in universities. So good to have a fellow alumni. So tell us something.
Sure.
So I'm very well versed with JB as well. I love the hometown of JB. I love the chicken chop at Hua Moi. So things like that. So
sure.
Tell us
you know, my favorite food is the ikan bakar in Straits View. It's walking distance from my house.
It's what Straits what?
The Straits View ikan bakar is the best ikan bakar in the world.
Okay, I definitely have to check it
Yeah,
out.
with the chinchalo, with the spice, right? It's amazing.
It is near Tissot, right?
Near
It's
this, that's right, that's right, that's
I
right.
think
Yeah.
I've had it. I think I've had it.
Yeah, it's the best one, the one right at the corner.
Oh, okay. That's a
Yeah,
good
it
one.
used to be by the sea, then it now moved to near Straits View Hotel. So it's very close to my house actually.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
So
still
my
go back
mother still
to?
lives there. My mother still lives there. I'm actually going there next week. Yeah. And I
Okay.
have some
Okay.
business there. Yeah. I actually started a company called the Cyberport, the MSC Cyberport.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started that 10, 12 years ago. I'm no longer actively involved in the business, but I'm still a shareholder and still sit on the board.
Oh, and what does it have to do in JB?
So it basically does a few things. One is we've got a building that's actually a MSC status building that we attract tech companies to locate in. So we've got kind of an incubator there, accelerator, and then we also, so that's one of the businesses. The other business that we have is the e-local government public-private partnership with the state government. So we actually roll out e-local government to all the local authorities in Johor.
Nice. Wow, that is didn't know you were part of that. I've heard of Cyberport, but you know
Yes,
you're a
yes,
part
yes.
of
So
that.
I started it. I was actually the founder, the first CEO, and then after that, my partner took over. So my partner now is the CEO, and but I still sit on the board. Yeah, so I'm going back next week for a board meeting.
Have a good trip there. And yeah.
Sure.
So maybe tell us more. I know that you mentioned earlier in this interview that okay, you don't want to mention you're a dropout. Maybe tell us a bit of a story of how I know of how you from UTM now. I can imagine it. UTM stealing in there. It's quite prestigious for local Malaysians to get in. It's quite hard to
Sure.
get in. And then and
Sure.
then you went into sort of into the gaming industry.
Yeah, so what happened was actually just before I joined UTM after my Form 5, I was actually interning in a cyber cafe. I was not interning. After Form 5, my part-time job was actually working in a cyber cafe, right? And so when I was working in the cyber cafe, what happened was I actually found I was starting to use I actually found that there was a need for a cyber cafe management software, right? Where you can lock, unlock machines and whatnot, right? Because at that time there was actually people were using a book with a time lock to actually enable people to come in and use the cyber cafe and then build through a pen and paper basically, right? And then so what I did was I basically started idea. I had an idea to develop a software that where you could lock unlock through a point of sale system. And then I got one of my fellow UTM students to actually develop that software, right? And then sold it to 30 plus cyber cafes. Then during the .com time, when people said we should give software for free to build a base of users like Hotmail, right? Hotmail was the first company to give email for free. So I came up with the idea to actually give the cyber cafe management software for free so we could own the first screen on the page of all these cyber cafes.
Yes, I remember I had a lot of I
Yeah.
was in a cyber cafe in Taiwan U as well. And just to tell more of the
Yeah.
audience who are maybe younger, before there was a cyber cafe management system, we used to have to take a Manila card with
Yep.
a number
Yep.
and go back
Yep.
and tell the person,
Yeah.
and the person calculate the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. So we had a number of cyber cafes in UTM in that Taman U area that was using our software as well. The software was called Cyberfield Net Cafe initially. And then during the year 2000, I went around to look for funding to get investors to invest in it when I wanted to give it free. So I approached Tan Sri Vincent Tan of the Bajaya Group. At that time, he actually started the company. He actually acquired the domain MOL. He bought a listed company called Dijaya Enterprise and then used that company to buy MOL.com Berhad or MOL.com and rename the company to MOL.com Berhad. Then he invested in about 20, 30 tech companies. I was one of those tech companies.
So that is a very fascinating point. It's not mentioned
Yeah.
in many places, but how did
Yeah.
a student from UTM manage to get Vincent Tan to
Yeah.
invest in your company?
Yeah. So basically, I pitched him the idea of giving away for free. And I was one of 30 companies he invested in, right? And I was the smallest investment, 2 million ringgit, right? He took control for 2 million ringgit for 60% was the deal we struck. And I guess he was investing in 30 companies. So he said, look, this sounds like an interesting idea. And he ended up investing in us.
How did he go about? Like, was it like part of a crowdfunding, or was it part of
No.
like
It
commercial?
wasn't a crowdfunding. I actually approached him, just dropped him an email. I knew somebody that knew him and got his number and set up a meeting. And then I actually pitched to him and he agreed to invest. Then and they said I had to move to KL. So I obviously moved to KL and I just didn't go back to class.
Yeah, that is
Just
actually
like Bill Gates,
you,
yeah.
yeah, you have never really mentioned it in other interviews, but that is actually
Yeah,
fascinating for a normal person
sure.
to email a Tan Sri who at that time was already owned like all the companies that is on Berjaya, everything, and
Yeah,
get a meeting and
yeah,
get him to invest in you. That is actually quite fascinating. And
sure.
I am
You know,
actually
I love investing in the youth. So I myself I'm looking at some deals right now as well. And 23 to I used to invest in 30-year-olds, but now I think 30 is too old. Now I'm looking at 23, 24-year-olds to invest in.
Yeah. I think you are paying it forward, and you're looking for maybe more Ganeshes to invest in, right?
I hope so. I hope so. I hope the one I'm looking at now can become the next Ganesh, so to speak, lah, or build the next MOL. I'm a bit too old now to build companies myself.
Yeah. I am actually a user of MOL. I believe I used to play FIFA online, and
Sure,
and a lot of kids that used to use. I think that was the only payments gateway that you can use to
sure,
buy things
sure.
from games that
Yep,
time.
yep.
And maybe like how did you manage to? I remember you sort of acquired a South Korean game as well.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
called Hell Breath.
Ref.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to like let be the first payment gateway for all the games?
No, so what happened was we actually started. So we had the cyber cafe software that we gave for free. After giving away the software for free, we actually realized that we needed to monetize, right? And Google wasn't there yet. So we had a lot of traffic. We had like 15,000 cyber cafes across 70 countries that downloaded our software. But then we didn't know how to monetize. So we came up with the idea. People were telling us we should charge the cyber cafes. Instead of that, we said it's still free, but the cyber cafes have to prepay us an amount, let's say 300 ringgit to use the software, to get the latest version of the software, right? And then what they would have to do is they would actually have to, they will get 300 ringgit worth of points in their account, and they could then use those points to buy products online, right? Because at that time, not many people have credit cards, right? So the cyber cafe can have a credit card, buy points from us, and then the consumers can buy points from the cyber cafe and use those points to buy online products, right? So that was the whole idea that we had. But then the problem was e-commerce logistics wasn't really advanced, not like today, right? So the infrastructure to promote e-commerce wasn't mature yet, right? So then we said, look, we need to find a product that people are buying today. And we started looking at reload coupons, because a reload coupon essentially is just a set of numbers, right? Serial numbers that we could actually sell through the cyber cafes. We did that, and then we realized that the issue really was that everybody was selling reload coupons, right? And so it was very competitive. Then one day I did a survey of cyber cafes in Subang, and I found this software. I found that everybody was playing this game called Hellbreath, a Korean game called Hellbreath, right? And then I approached Hellbreath and said, look, we're from Asia, we've got cyber cafes. Vincent had 7-Eleven. We can use 7-Eleven for payments as well, which we were starting to do. Can you give us the rights for Hellbreath in Malaysia? Actually, for Southeast Asia. And they actually gave us the rights for Southeast Asia. Right, and we made it exclusive to MOL points. And the moment that went pay to play, the servers of the Korean company went down. Our traffic went down and the went up, and the servers of the Korean company went down, unfortunately, right? And then so that game then after a while got a bit old, and so that died down. We never recovered the license fee actually that we paid to buy the game. And then we decided to just become the payment platform for every game out there, right? So Ragnarok, FIFA Online, there was a game called Gunbound where we actually got the rights for Asia, right? So we did all that, and that's essentially how MOL started, right? Until at one point when we IPO'd the company, 25% of the emerging market game payments actually went through our platform.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of things that of course happened between then. You also of course famously acquired Friendster as well, as I recall,
Yeah,
and it
yes.
was like that time the largest social network I believe at that time.
Yeah, it was at that time Google and Facebook were not most popular. It was Yahoo and Friendster, right? And yeah, so people were thinking I was crazy because Friendster was on the way down, Facebook was on the way up, right? But I ended up it was actually quite a good decision of buying Friendster because Friendster had some patents that we were able to monetize through the other large social network. I'm not going to mention the name now. And then we actually entered into a payment partnership with that social network to become their payment provider in Asia as well, right? So that all ended up to be quite a good deal. We made some money on it. And the whole idea why we had it is we wanted Friendster's 100 million users to become MOL users, right? So at that time, we had 200,000, MOL had 200,000 users, 6% of which spend 150 ringgit a month. We thought if Friendster got 100 million users, if 1% spends 50 ringgit a month, that was a big deal, right? We ended up like after 1-2 years with the deal with the other social network as well. We ended up to have a couple of billion users, and we did grow significantly.
That is very impressive indeed. But being a Malaysian company, was it hard to buy Friendster? Were there other people looking to buy, or was?
Yeah, there were a few others, but I think we worked faster, so we were quite a lot more aggressive than the competitors, and we managed to get the deal.
That is awesome. that is how I see what you decide and you actually take action. So that is a cool story indeed. And I saw in your other interviews you had I think you had a stroke or some sorts, but
yes,
after that stroke, you said in 12 months after the stroke, you got the company listed on NASDAQ. And
yeah, so I had a stroke, unfortunately. We grew MOL to, I think we were in, I can't remember how many markets now, 10, 14 markets. We had like 10 subsidiaries across Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam. Then we had a Turkish subsidiary that actually covered Middle East. Then we had a US subsidiary that covered Brazil, right? So I was traveling around a lot, not having enough sleep. And then one day I couldn't wake up, right? Yeah, and then I realized I had a stroke. And I had a stroke in October 2013. And we were about to start the whole IPO process, and I decided that, look, I need to literally I need to do the whole IPO. I got up on wheelchair, appointed lawyers, bankers, and within a year, in October 2014, we listed. We're the first Southeast Asian internet company to list on the NASDAQ.
Yeah, that is very, very inspiring. So you said die, right? Why was it a die thing that you have to list on NASDAQ?
No, I wanted to list the company right? I say I got to put this company on a stable platform so that it could be independent, and listing was part of that.
Yeah, and was it always your goal to list the company?
It is the dream of every entrepreneur. I think every tech entrepreneur to list their company on NASDAQ, right? Or NYSE, but usually people want to list on the NASDAQ. It's the dream of every tech entrepreneur, right? So today, I don't have that dream anymore. So a lot of people say, why don't you list your current businesses or one of your businesses on the NASDAQ? I don't think I'll do that. Yeah, because I've been there, done that, right? Yeah.
Why is that so? Is it because it's a lot of hassle?
You know when you list a company on the NASDAQ, your company trades, and if you're based in Asia, just look at a track record. When I listed on the NASDAQ on the first day, that was supposed to be my crowning day of my career, right? A company that I founded, listed on the NASDAQ. On the first day of my listing, the share price was down 30%. Right? And that's heartbreaking, you know. You know what I mean? When you list your company, in the evening we worth 800. In the morning we worth $800 million US dollars. I had 10% of the business worth 80 million. In the evening I'm worth 50 million, right? And then that's what the pinnacle of your career, and it becomes a sad day because you just lost $30 million, right? and we were the first Southeast Asian internet company to be listed before Grab, like years before Grab and whatnot, right? And today, you actually look at all those companies that are listed on the NASDAQ, they all aren't performing well, right? I know of companies within a year listed at $1 billion market cap from Singapore that's now trading at $15 million, right? And so it's just a very brutal market to be listed in. Of course, today there are various ways. Not difficult to list on there because of specs, but highly don't recommend companies to actually list on the NASDAQ unless they are very mature and very established and know how to handle the US markets, right? Unfortunately, most of us are not. And the other issue we have is when you're listed, investor relations is key. Xamble itself is listed in Australia. I have to go there twice a year just to meet investors, right? Now, Australia is 6 hours away. It's almost in the same time zone with 2-3 hours difference, right? So it's not bad. The time your stock starts trading, the time the stock ends trading is still within your 1-2 hours of your working time, right? Whereas in the US, the stock is trading when you're sleeping, right? So you won't, a lot of times you got to see what your stock is trading at. You won't be sleeping, right? And your share price goes down in the morning. You get a lot of investors sending you emails or calling, say, hey, what's going on? Right? So I think it's not it's really for really established companies. And I think in Asia, we have much better places to tap public market funds from.
That is, thank you for sharing so candidly about this. It is very a realistic point of view. Yeah, we all know how Grab is doing in the NASDAQ as well.
Exactly, right. And the problem is once your share price goes down, it's not easy to recover. It's not easy to get back. If your share price goes up, you build investor confidence. You're a hero, right? And that's a fact. When share price goes up, you're a hero. When the share price goes down, you're not a hero, right? And if you start from a point when you're not a hero, to become a hero again is not easy, lah.
Yep. Thank you for sharing that. You're the reason why I have this podcast, because not many people, if you were in the West, Ganesh, people worship you. You have you have like people coming up to you but in Asia it's lesser known that there's a lot of our tech entrepreneurs here who are equally as impressive as the West. And from there, I think now you're no longer executive chairman of MOL Global.
So MOL was post-listing. MOL was acquired by Razer Inc. And if you know Razer Gold, MOL Points became Razer Gold. MOL Pay, which became one of the largest, if not the largest, payment gateways in Malaysia today, is today Razer Merchant Services. Right, so it's still most of the companies that I started is still operating till today, basically, right? And so that's great. And so I'm quite happy with the way that kind of worked out, right? And then I started looking at Shopify, which was listed on Toronto Stock Exchange. I started looking what the last companies I invested was the MOL was an e-commerce payment gateway called MOL Pay. Right, and then I thought e-commerce was starting to grow because logistic infrastructure was starting to get more mature. I looked at Shopify. I bought Shopify at $25. It went up to $50. I sold at $50. Very happy. In 1 year, it was at $1,500. Right, and then I said, let's build a Shopify of Malaysia. So I bought the domain commerce.asia. I started a company called Commerce Asia. I started looking at companies that I could invest in or acquire to build a Shopify of Malaysia, if not Southeast Asia.
That is very interesting indeed. So why? So you said that it was very exciting, right? Besides being live here and born here, any other reasons that you think that Southeast Asia is a promising market?
Besides being live here and born here, why is Southeast Asia a promising market? How do I answer this? Besides being born here and live here. Okay, so I think the number of reasons. Sorry, I'm a bit slow there. I think we got a very young age group, and we got very digital savvy age group. And digitalization is just coming in. It's not mature like places in Australia. I traveled to Australia quite a bit. I just came back. I know you did as well, right? And it's already very mature that everybody buys online, and so their behavior is already fixed. So when you launch a new product, it's not easy to change the user behavior of a 50-year-old who's already buying online, right? Whereas in places like Malaysia, Indonesia, you have a young demographic, they're just starting to use mobile phones, right? And the user behavior can change a lot more easier. So launching a new product here, you'll actually get growth. Whereas you launch it in a place like Australia, more mature markets, you won't get as much growth. So the user adoption of new technology will be slower than if it's done here.
Yeah, that is. So I also listened to a lot of exciting things. I was at the NAFNAC event, the Tomorrow Today event, and there's a lot of exciting things going on with Commerce.Asia. Maybe can you share a few of the projects that are going on?
Sure. So if you see my background, Xamble is the name of the listed company that I acquired in Australia called NetCentric. Xamble actually owns NAFNAC, right? And Xamble actually, so NAFNAC, as you may know, has about a network of 20,000 influencers. We pay quite a bit to influencers every year. And so now what we do is, if to pay out to influencers, we actually make it mandatory for influencers now to use our app, which is called Xamble Creators, right? Now, why Xamble? A lot of people say, why Xamble? Sounds like gamble or something. Well, Assemble actually stands for Assembling Communities, right? And before Elon Musk came up with X, we thought X would be a good way to start it. So Xamble, right? And then Elon Musk goes and copies us a few months later, right? Which we don't mind. It actually adds credibility to our name. Yeah, and then so we now make it mandatory for influencers that we work with us to download the app. And now through the app, they can actually see campaigns, they can work with brands through the app, they can communicate with other influencers through the app as well, right? So there are a number of things that we actually are doing on the app right now. Like you can download it, it's called Xamble Creators.
Yep. And I see that you don't only think as one company. Of course, Xamble has many other companies. There's a TikTok shop.
Xamble Live. That's right. That's right.
Live, and it all fits in together, right? You have your influencers that drive the sales. You have Commerce.Asia that set up the marketplace shops for companies, and then you have many other different things. So maybe can you share with us how the whole ecosystem works together?
So first you look at brands. So creators, we have the app. So when you actually download the app, then you actually get linked to brands. So for brands, basically, NAFNAC actually provides brands with a one-stop influencer marketing platform, right? So agencies come to us, brands like KFC, McDonald's come to us and say, we want to reach this targeted demographic. Can you help us get influencers? So we then mine our database, select the right influencer to say good things about the brand, right? So that's the first thing we do. And then the next step is some brands come to us and they actually say, hey, we want you to also manage a whole social media posts as well, their social media accounts. So brands like Porsche work with us for that, right? And then the third is if influencers actually have a successful post, some brands want it to be kind of propagated or amplified. So we have performance marketing agency called Plata and Puta that then amplifies that, right? So those are kind of the brand facing businesses. And then influencers have followers. So one of the things is how do we then reach out to the followers? So we have an Xamble social wallet, which is a Web3 NFT wallet, actually, where influencers can issue NFTs to their followers, right? And then we have a live commerce business where influencers can actually work with us to sell products on behalf of brands.
Yep,
So it's an entire ecosystem surrounding influencers, basically. Xamble, Assemble.
Yes, I like that. It's very intentional. I will use the word that how you start these different companies. So while I was at the NAFNAC event, one of your CEOs actually said you are a person who really, like just now you said you want to invest in early 20-year-olds, and that's what I see across your companies. The person that managed me, Amanda, was a very young person, and I see a lot of youth in these companies as well. And one of the things they said was that you really encourage, you put your money where the mouth is. And if someone comes to you,
for better or worse, hopefully I get an ROI on that.
Yeah, it comes to you with like some sort of innovation, you will consider it and innovate it. And maybe seek to innovate. So how do you maybe I see a lot of innovation in your group of companies. Like, how do you encourage this type of innovation?
Oh, that's a $1 million question, I guess. So I think it's always we got to be different and we got to think of what the future is and kind of do it now, lah.
And do you say to them, like, you can come to me and I will actually evaluate what is your idea on that?
Yeah, I think I'm always open to new ideas. Yeah.
I see. And looking ahead, right? I know you mentioned Web3, right? So Web3, unfortunately, this year is not the year of Web3. It's the year of AI. So maybe what are you excited about at your moment? So you have your group of companies.
So we also do, for example, in our Xamble Creator app, we actually give recommendations to influencers on what to post powered by ChatGPT.
Yes.
So technology always has cycles, right? Couple of years ago was Web3. Now it's generative AI. You look 10 years ago was social media, group buying, social media, right? So they always cycles, they're ups and downs, right? But e-commerce cycle started 30 years ago when Amazon and eBay started, right? So the cycle, when you start, it goes up, then the interest wanes. But then if you actually look 30 years on, today, everybody is adopting e-commerce, right? So what I believe in is you don't have to follow the cycles. I think you need to look at the technologies, start doing it, and then over time that line will grow. Does that make sense?
Yes. So like you said, e-commerce started. Amazon is nothing new. People need to trade. It is the base. Like, for example, email, like you said, Hotmail was the first provider to give free emails. Email is still around today. It's still the main way to communicate since 30 years ago. So that is a very good insight there. So you don't ride the wave, but you invest in tried and trusted things that will evolve over time. So maybe a few more questions about the future here today. So you're also the past chairman of PICOM. And maybe what are your, so like PICOM, of course, is the body that was in charge of the digital economy. So maybe what are your hopes for the digital economy looking forward?
So I think I take it very positively that yesterday, I'm not sure whether you saw in the cabinet announcement by our Prime Minister, Malaysia actually has our first digital minister, right? And we finally have a digital ministry. So YB Gobind Singh Dio is now the digital minister. And I think one of the things that is quite interesting about it is PICOM actually has been asking for a single ICT ministry, the last I checked, since 2009. So 15 years later, we finally have a single ICT or digital ministry now, right? The word has changed from ICT to digital, right? And that's important because digital now actually goes through every part of government, every part of business, right? And in Malaysia, we really have too many agencies and too many ministries with their own respective agencies handling digitalization. I'll give you one example, right? So when it comes to the startup ecosystem, we have Cradle, we have Meranti, we have MDAQ, right? And MDAQ also handles Gain, which is for bigger companies, right? So if you're a company, where do you go to, right? You're a company, you need funding, you need support. Do I go to Meranti? Do I go to Cradle? Each one of them have their own account managers. Of course, the government tries to do a single window, but single windows tend to be a window, right? After you step in the window, you still need to deal with other people, right? And so I think, and then now you've got many other agencies now, which objective is to bring together all the agencies, right? But and then you look at government has Mampu, has GovTech now, has MIMOS, so it's really a lot of agencies to do one thing, and sometimes we have too many people trying to hit a nail on a table. You throw many hammers, hit a nail, the nail won't go in, right? So I think what Malaysia really needs is, and I think our Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim has started in the right way, is to have a single digital minister, single digital ministry, and hopefully now political will be there to fold a lot of these agencies under this one ministry, right? And once it's under this one ministry, then hopefully the minister can, and of course, whoever is supporting him can kind of bring it all together so that the aspirations of the country, the aspirations of the youth of the country are met in a more effective manner, in a more streamlined manner. So if you're a startup, you know, you go to the ministry, they will get the right agency to do it for you, right?
Yes, that is very, very insightful, because yes, yesterday we just had the cabinet reshuffle, and yes, that you mentioned the first digital ministry has been formed under Gobind Singh as well, and very, very exciting.
He won't have an easy job. I'm sure it's going to be a very challenging job. It won't be easy. First of all, their political landmines, then their public perception landmines, etc. But if he can make it happen, I think it will take Malaysia to new level, right?
Yeah, I would love to hear it.
And to me, as a tech entrepreneur over the last 30 years, this is the biggest single announcement that the government has made.
Wow, that is big in state.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Since my 30 years in the tech industry, since MSc, since Tun Mahathir started the MSc, right?
Yeah.
And MDAQ was formed at that time, MDC was formed. This is the single biggest announcement. Finally, we have a digital ministry. Yes, we had a digital communication ministry, but that was essentially the old KKMM, right? Which is now just put with the word digital, right? But finally, we have now one ministry that handles digital ICT for the nation, and we have to make that happen.
Awesome. Yes, I'm in digital as well, so I'm excited of what's to come. So yeah, you said 30 years of entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And in digital, maybe this is a question a bit more left wing. It's like,
sorry, it's not 30 years. I think it's 24, 25 years now. Sorry, almost 30 years.
Yeah, it's give and take, give and take.
Yeah.
So like you started your career in you know, like software, and then you did payments, and now in e-commerce, and Sunsa as well. Was there something in your almost 30 years that you said, I was almost there, I wanted to do it, but I didn't do it, but now it is something I wish I've done?
I have the complete problem. I ask myself why I do so many things. I have the complete opposite problem. I should do less things and focus on more things, but you know.
Yeah. You do a lot of things now, and okay. So I get that you should have you have the reverse problem, or was there something that you said, you know, there's like previous trends, like, you know, like last time it was the NFTs trend.
Yeah, I don't miss that trend. I think that trend really hasn't evolved yet. It may still, I think there's a lot more legs to it that hasn't evolved yet. Were there companies that I wish I invested in, that I should have invested in? Many, right? But you know, you can't. Should I have sold Facebook later? Maybe. Should I have done a few things? Of course, you know, you can't estimate, but you just have to be thankful and that you're blessed to be where you are today, and learn from your mistakes and make sure you don't make the same mistakes again.
Yeah. I think hindsight is 2020, and it's you can only move forward as an entrepreneur. So maybe my question flip around a bit. This one I did send to you previously is, if you were in UTM today, you were 20 years old in the electronic engineering faculty, and I know exactly where it is in UTM. FKE is called FKE.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to say that. Yeah,
it was at FKE. So if you were in your shoes today as a 20-year-old, what would you have done? What would you do? Like, would you study, or would you go and learn AI?
I think I'll drop out again and start another tech business and go to one of the agencies to get some funding to make it happen.
Awesome. That is a very straightforward answer, and I really like that answer as well.
No regrets there.
Yeah. So okay, so last question before we go, because this is the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon podcast, and we focus a lot on Asian entrepreneurs, and really happy to have you here share today. You have a very Sun Tzu quote that you mentioned a lot, right? Sure. So can you share more about that?
Know your enemy, know yourself. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories.
Yes. So because this is the got a podcast named after a Chinese proverb as well. People think it's a movie,
Yeah.
but actually it's a Chinese. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon
Yeah.
actually is a Chinese proverb. So
Yeah.
I allow me to say in Chinese, I actually studied that proverb in high school. It's called 知彼知己,百战不殆. Exactly like what you said, that the literal meaning is there. But how does it apply to you? Because I don't imagine it is a proverb used in warfare, where it is the last time used for intelligence in warfare. Like, you know yourself, you know the enemy, you know the natural circumstances.
Similarly, when you're launching a product, there's this thing called product market fit. You need to know your market. So there's a whole process, even in the startup world, there's a whole process, right? Of finding that product market fit, market discovery, knowing who your customer is, right? And then after that, market messaging. How do you reach the customer? What's the words you use or the messaging to reach the customer? Market channeling, right? Where do you reach the customer, right? Which channels, which websites, which social media sites you use to reach the customer? And then finally, feedback, right? Does it work or not? Know yourself, know your enemy. It comes back, right? You get what I mean? And then the loop happens. So that is the fundamental knowledge that you need on starting and growing a startup. I just explained that, right? And it is the same understanding that Sun Tzu actually implemented in war, in physical warfare, and kind of created that whole Sun Tzu proverb: know yourself, know your enemy, know yourself, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Ganesh, for coming on the pod. And yeah, I will let you know when it's out. Thank you so much for being here.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.